Hello and welcome to official PlayStationMagazine.co.uk's review of Resident Evil 6. Now, before we start, let's pretend this isn't called Resident Evil 6 for a moment. Let's call it Evil in Residence. Or Steve. Steve's good. Now, the thing about Steve is, he doesn't have to worry about comparisons to previous Resident Evils. This is just a game we can review without anyone saying, but it's not old Steve. So, how does he do? Steve was alright. I had some fun, there were a few late nights, and when it was all over, Steve had satisfied me. I should have gone with a girl's name. You see, get past the whole it's not Resi thing, and there is a good game here. Maybe not great, but entertaining overall, and you can't fault the sheer amount of stuff crammed in there. There are 3 separate and lengthy co-op campaigns, a 4th unlockable single-player story, Mercenaries mode, and Agent Hunt, which lets you drop into other people's games as an online monster. Overall, the story sees a range of old and new Resi characters fighting a new C-virus and a new intelligent enemy called a Joavo, who mutate into far worse things if you so much as look at them funny. Of the 3 stories, Leon and Helena's is the best. It's full of atmosphere, and if we must make comparisons, it's the most like old Resident Evil, with traditional zombies and a very Resi 2 city outbreak. A close second is Sherry Birkin and Jake Muller's story, which is the most varied, throwing in vehicles, stealth, tanks, and the Ustanak, a nemesis-like pursuer who never ever gives up. Ever. Which just leaves poor old Chris Redfield's section. After his mutant bicep rebirth in Resident Evil 5, 6 sees him portraying a damaged soldier dealing with the fallout of a botched mission, except all his wall-punching fury makes him a phenomenally unlikable man. As the story progresses, his action movie rage is so poorly portrayed that it verges on parody. Essentially, he's a fucking dick. His campaign is also the weakest, as it's set up to be a shooter, but without changing the weapon balancing. So while it feels like you should be going gun crazy as part of a crack team of monster-fighting soldiers, you're always running out of ammo, leaving you poking enemies with a knife and hoovering up bullets like a tramp after dog ends. And that's the problem with Steve. When it's going well, it's fun. There are some nice spooky bits, there's some action, stuff explodes, and all that is great. But there is a lot of stuff here, and while it can feel like it's wearing the faces of the games it thinks you might like in an attempt to please you, everything just about averages out to the good. Ironically though, cutting some of the crappier stuff would have probably made a smaller and better game.